Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be doing the chapter Into the Wild by Kiran Purandare. So there are two parts of this chapter. Okay, the first part is the story of Kiran Purandare, who is in a jungle and he gets lost while returning back to his village where he is posted. And that too at a time when there is a cheetah on the loose hunting. The second part is about Shaaz Jung. He is the one who actually took the first photo of a very famous tiger. Can you tell me what its name is? Well, if you can't, its name is Scar, right? The Scar video that you've been seeing all around on the social media, that was taken by Shaaz Jung, right? So basically, these are two parts, and they're actually just, you can say, documentaries from the jungle or the wildlife, and it's very amazing to get to read these experiences, because in today's time you will definitely not be able to actually go to a jungle, experience bird watching, animal observation, or things of those sort. So first of all, we have the story of Kiran Purandare, who's well settled in this job of taking pictures and observing animals. So we'll start with that, and then the second part will be moving to Shah's Jung story. Okay, so in the part one, Lost in the Jungle, the 8.5 hour long day inside the hide was as fruitful as the jamba tree standing tall on the edge of Ambarzara. Before wrapping up my day at this natural water hole, I took entries of the avifauna in my field notes. So basically, his day hasn't been really fruitful. He hasn't had much of a useful outcome out of his day, and the day was 8.5 hour long, meaning he had worked for 8.5 hours. Okay, the Ambarzara is basically the place or the forest he's in. So before wrapping up, he took entries, meaning when you're doing these observations, etc., what you do is you write down your observation of the day in a register, right? So that's what you're there for. They're field notes. And since he was alone, he had to go back to his village quickly because he was having, uh, you know, he was having a tough time trying to defend himself alone, right? It's a jungle. You're supposed to make sure you're well protected, or very well comfortable, right? So that's why he has to go quickly, and he's all alone. Okay, next, there is a very nice way of how they have showed the camouflage. Okay, why is camouflage important? Why am I calling it nice? Camouflage is really important because when you're in a jungle, you're at a high risk of being hurt or being eaten up by wild animals, right? So over here he's like, I camouflaged the hide and took my essentials. So basically, the hide is also a camouflage. What happens is, when you're out there observing, you can't just stand there. So what you do is, you will, in the middle of two trees, you will probably make a small tent-like structure. And this is where you'll be sitting and observing. And when you're leaving or when you're not here, what you will do is, you'll cover it with trees. Okay, the tree branches or dry leaves, which helps it look like it's a part of the jungle. It's not something made from another thing or another material. Okay. So now he taken everything outside and he comes out, he takes his camera back, and then he is also stretching out. Okay, now these hides, right, they're not really comfortable. They are really uncomfortable. Why so? Because they're very small. Okay, a 5 foot man gets like a 3 foot place to stay for like 8 hours at a stretch. It's really uncomfortable. Try sitting down for 8 hours straight and you'll be really uncomfortable. When you wake up, you want to stretch, you want to move around. Now this man has been crouched. Okay, he's like fully in a small, like a fetus position, but standing. That's really uncomfortable. So he stretches to his heart's content, and he is now on his way back to the familiar trail of Peterzari. Peterzari is the village where he's placed. So now he's taken a trail back to that place. Okay, one thing I'd like to apologize for is if there is some sound disturbance, because right now I'm not actually shooting at the normal time I do, so there is a problem. I had shot this video once, but then there was some audio problems. I have to redo this again. So if there are some audio problems, just pardon me. Okay, moving ahead. Negotiating the webbed leaves of teakwood and moha trees, trying to make minimal sound, I was treading cautiously among the woods. So what happens now is he is trying to go very cautiously, very silently, because when you're alone in a jungle, you need to be very careful. Now, when there is 2 or 3 people, it is easier to protect yourself and others, right? Same with animals. Animals always go around in groups or tribes because they are, trying to be safe. When they are together, they are, safer, they're stronger. But when they're alone, they are weak. Okay, they can't really defend themselves if a predator comes ahead. So that's why he's trying to make as less sound as possible to not attract the jungle animals. Walking around a jungle needs more alertness than walking with a companion. I was alone here like a fox, following this trail silently. Watching with wide open eyes, my ears were grasping a variety of sounds just when a familiar sound stunned me. So now he is listening carefully to hear about any animals or anything. And when all of a sudden he hears a familiar sound, kyak kyak kyakos kyak. Now that's a sound. Okay, there will be 2 sounds in this. One is this one. Okay, and then there is another sound over here down. We'll read it now. What is this alarm call about, right? What is this sound about? Why is he alarmed by it? It was a langur alarm call. The leader of the gang of the langurs was sitting on a tall tree making these alarm calls out of the fear of life. What is a langur? A langur is like a monkey. Okay, a langur is like a monkey. It's a larger monkey. You can think of it like the monitor monkey of them all. It's kind of strict. It has a very nice structure. All right. So now this leader of the langurs was basically calling out to its other tribes mates or its other group mates. Why is it so? Now this langur is warning its mates. Okay, it's warning the others around it that beware, that there is a danger nearby. Alarm calls are usually made in times of danger. Okay. Rest of the Langur brigade continued raising the alarm calls. The network of alarm calls was expanding its range as the petrified langurs speeded to the trees near and far and secured their places on the treetops. So basically, while this leader langur is telling everybody that there's some danger, all the others is scattering over here, right? All the others are jumping from tree to tree, getting to a safe spot. The network of alarm calls was expanding its range as the petrified langur speeded to the trees near and far and secured their place on the treetops. So this is a network, not just the leader, but now others are going to a farther place and they're making the alarm calls to warn the langurs that are a bit far away. Okay, all this upheaval was created by only one animal's presence, a leopard. So why were they all making these alarm calls? Because of the presence of one animal, a leopard. Many animals make alarm calls when they see a predator, tiger or leopard nearby. The langur is most reliable when it comes to finding clues about the presence of the apex predators in the jungle. So basically, why are they making a call? Because of the presence of a leopard. Now it's like these langurs are very, you can say, civilized. Okay, out of all the animals, they are pretty smart. Us humans are also animals and we are completely civilized. We have our own systems, we have our own societies. Similarly, langurs are just a step under us. They don't talk or work or function with money, but they also have a good civilization. There's a hierarchy in langurs. So there is a leader, langur or monkey. Then there is the second circle, the third circle, right? Over there also there's like protectors. There is then there's kids, right, who are taken to the complete inner circle. They are with the leader so that they are completely protected with the outer layers. So this is how basically their hierarchy works. So now they're saying this, our author is saying that langurs are the most reliable. So you can trust them the most to tell you when a predator or an dangerous animal is around. What is apex predators? Apex refers to the topmost. Okay, it's given over here the meaning. One second. I'll underline this for you. Apex means topmost. Okay, apex basically, you can say the apex of a tree. You might have read apex when you're reading plant systems, right? Apex is the tip from where the further growth or elongation of the height happens. So now because he is there, The mighty elusive leopard of Ambarzara was out of its lair. What is a lair? It's the place where this leopard lives. Okay, lair is basically the home of the leopard, the place where it has made its adda, what you can say in Hindi, right? So there's everything that the leopard has. The leopard eats there, and you'll find, carcasses over there. Now he's understood that the leopard is out for hunting. He was on the prowl. Prowl meaning a hunting outing. Okay, the stealthily moving figure in spotted gold black cloak was spied by these langurs. Even the small ones from the legion of langurs were giving alarm calls. So the langurs had seen the leopard. So we all know what leopards are like, right? We all know how their fur is, how the pattern is. So the legion basically refers to a huge group. Okay, when there are two armies fighting, both the armies are a legion. Why? Because they have such a humongous crowd in them that you don't count them in groups or tribes, you count them in legions. So even the younger ones were giving alarm calls or sounds. Okay, this shows how scared they were, and this showed how close their predator was. So we already read one sound, which was khyak. Over here you have another sound. Similar sound, different wordings. I stay put, gauged the leader Langu's target site, and scanned the area visually. Took some steps, stopped again. A fresh scat was lying before me on the trail. So basically, what he does is he looks up to where the leader Langur is looking, and he sees he looks around in that direction. He finds that he is safe as of now. He can't see the Langur. He can't see the leopard. He goes a bit ahead, and there's a fresh scat. Fresh scat is fresh droppings, fresh animal droppings. Okay, the bluish purple flies are hovering over it. Bluish purple flies are basically you can say dung flies. Okay, they hover around all the dirt and gutters, right? So they were hovering meaning flying around it. I was sure that the leopard was somewhere near, obviously, right? The fresh scat is lying there, so that means it's somewhere around. The distant alarm call of the four-horned antelope was adding to the chaos. Now, not only langurs but other animals in the jungle were beginning to panic and make alarm sounds. Okay, so this antelope was adding to the chaos. Now he had barely walked 15 meters when he stops and realizes that he has walked into the main place where this leopard is hunting, right? The leopard's main hunting grounds, he is there. So what is he called it? The sanctum sanctorum. What is a sanctum sanctorum? In temples or in divine places, the sanctum sanctorum is where the actual Lord's idol is kept. Okay, it's the main part of the temple. So similarly, in a jungle, the sanctum sanctorum of a leopard's hunting ground refers to the main place where this leopard hunts. A miracle called leopard, but the big cat was not visible. It is an elusive animal. So what does it mean? It basically means that the leopard was successful at hiding, right? Elusive meaning you will never understand where the leopard actually is or what it's doing. The surroundings were reminding me that I was all alone time and again. As I moved forward on the trail to Pitazari, the fading alarm call was still heard in the background. I could tell instinctively that the leopard had moved away. So when he moved ahead towards his way, right? अभी अगर आप जंगल के बीच में हो, आप उधर ही रुकोगे नहीं ये जानते हुए कि आपको कोई जंगल एनिमल हंट कर सकता है, तो वो क्या करता है, वो अपने गांव की तरफ फिर भी बढ़ रहा है, बट ट्राइंग टू बी एज कॉशियस एज ही कैन बाय नॉट मेकिंग मच नॉइज. एंड थोड़े टाइम बाद उसे सुनाई देता है कि जो आवाजें हैं वो उतनी लाउड नहीं है. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि जो लेपर्ड है वो पीछे रह गया है. जो अलार्म कॉल जब पीछे है, दैट मीन्स ही इज आउट ऑफ डेंजर राइट नाउ. Meanwhile, I saw a man standing at a distance with a stick in his hands. As I approached, he appeared spooked due to the alarm calls of the leopards. तो what does he find? वो जंगल से निकलता है, उन्होंने उधर एक आदमी को देखा उन्होंने. फिर जब वो उससे बात करते हैं, he realizes कि वो इंसान भी spooked है. spooked का मतलब क्या होगा? यहाँ पे दिया है, choose the correct option. frightened, happy और angry. अब आप ही सोचो, अगर आपको कोई अलार्म साउंड सुनाई दे रहा है और आपको पता है कि इसका मतलब हंटिंग चल रही है, तो क्या आप डरोगे, खुश होगे या गुस्सा होगे? ऑफ कोर्स आप डरोगे, राइट? सो स्पूक्ड रेफर्स टू बीइंग स्कैर्ड. नाउ वी ग्रीटेड ईच अदर. ही वाज राजू एस्केपे फ्रॉम पीटरजारी. नाउ वो जानते हैं इस इंसान को, इनका नाम भी दिया है. He had come to collect logs but retreated due to the leopard's movement. Raju was amazed at my regular solitary visits to Ambazara, the haven for tigers, leopards and sloth bears. So basically अब क्या होता है कि जो ये इंसान है, he was amazed, मतलब वो थोड़े pleasantly shocked थे बिकॉज जो हमारे राइटर है किरण पुरंदरे वो एक ऐसी जगह पे फ्रीक्वेंटली विजिट करते हैं जहाँ पे ये जो एनिमल्स होते हैं लेपर्ड्स, टाइगर्स और स्लॉथ बेयर्स यानी प्रेडेटर्स वो काफी ज्यादा पाए जाते हैं। वो बाहर ही रुक गया था बिकॉज वो तो लॉग्स लेने आया था, बट बिकॉज वहां पे एक लेपर्ड हंट कर रहा था वो अंदर बिल्कुल नहीं जाता। He stopped under a kusum tree to take a break. Kusum यानी एक type of tree है वो basically. We both felt a bit relaxed. Now we were 4 eyes, 4 hands and a stick. We both resumed our walking tour. Like I told you before, it's not advisable to walk around a jungle all alone, right? तो भी वो दोनों थोड़ा relax हो गए, थोड़ा खुश हो गए कि वो दो लोग मिलकर एक सफर कर सकते हैं जिसमें वो ज्यादा safe होंगे. There was only one tiny track that broke out of the main trail. I will take this route. You go straight, said Raju and turned right. I kept walking straight until I climbed a familiar hillock. तो बेसिकली अब क्या होता है कि वहां पे एक छोटा सा आप कह सकते हो डाइवर्जन आता है जहाँ पे राजू कहता है कि मुझे इस साइड जाना है, आप पीटेजारी जाने के लिए एकदम स्ट्रेट जाओ। तो ये चलता जाता है until he climbs a familiar hillock. Hillock मतलब क्या? There's the word hill meaning कि वो थोड़ा raised होता है। अब hillock मतलब एकदम hills जितना भी high नहीं होता, एक छोटा सा raise होता है कि बहुत menial करीब 1-2 फीट का raise होगा और आप उसमें से पूरा surrounding land देख सकते हो, बट ज्यादा ही ऊपर नहीं होता है। I crossed the cement pillar and stones stacked by Forest Development Corporation to mark the boundary of the forest compartment. So basically जब आप कहीं जा रहे होंगे आपने हाईवेज पे देखा होगा कि कोई गांव अगर खत्म होता है तो वहां पे एक स्टोन बना रहता है कि दिस विलेज एंड्स हियर, नेक्स्ट विलेज, और फिर उधर कोई एक डिस्टेंस लिखा होगा 3 किलोमीटर्स, 4 किलोमीटर्स, राइट? या फिर टाइम टू टाइम 1 किलोमीटर, 2 किलोमीटर करके कोई स्टोन्स पे मार्किंग्स होंगी। सो सिमिलरली वहां पे एक स्टोन की मार्किंग थी, स्टैक्ड स्टोन्स की, जिसका मतलब था कि ये फॉरेस्ट कंपार्टमेंट यहाँ खत्म होता है, मतलब इसके आगे एक अलग एरिया शुरू हो रहा है। took another trail after climbing down. तो जब वो हिलक से उतरे तब उन्होंने एक और रास्ता चूज किया. Walked across a beautiful mahua tree loaded with reddish brown leaves. The ground under the tree was cleaned very well. The thought instantly flashed in my mind, I'd lost my way. तो अभी वो एक महुआ ट्री के सामने से गुजरते हैं जब उन्हें याद आता है कि उनके रास्ते पे कोई ट्री आता ही नहीं था, तो इसका मतलब ये अपना रास्ता भूल चुके हैं, ये गलत रास्ते पर आए हैं. Next moment I found another dusky trail. Hastily I took the trail which took me from a narrow gorge to an open field. तो एक पतले रास्ते से एक अलग रास्ते पे डाइवर्ट हो जाता है जहां से वो एक ओपन फील्ड यानी बहुत ही बड़े खेत में पहुंच जाते हैं. The area was surrounded by hillocks of dry deciduous tropical forests. I turned back to spot the sun. Now the geographical west was set. The dusky trail had vanished. Good heavens, I was lost. Completely lost in this jungle, that too at a very dreadful time. The sun was melting down like a fleeting runner. So basically जब ये वहां पे पहुंचते हैं उन्हें वहां पे बहुत सारे हिलक्स दिखते हैं जहां जाके उन्हें रियलाइज होता है कि पूरी तरीके से गुम हो चुके हैं, इन्हें नहीं पता कि वो कहाँ से आए थे, और अब तो सन भी सेट हो चुका है, मतलब सूरज ढल चुका है और उन्हें ज्यादा अपना वो जो जहां से पहले आए थे उन्हें वो रीजन दिख ही नहीं रहा है. ही इज लॉस्ट टू लिमिट जहाँ पे वो अपनी प्रीवियस ट्रेल भी रिट्रेस नहीं कर पा रहे. Soaked in my own sweat, I felt like shouting to my heart's content, but there was no other soul to listen to my sound in this wilderness. What did he mean? So when you're frustrated, shouting out is, very nice way to release your frustration, right? So अभी इन्हें एकदम चिल्लाने का मन कर रहा था because ना इन्हें बाहर जाने का रास्ता पता है, ना इन्हें पता है कि ये कहाँ है, ये अभी जंगल के आसपास है, वो भी ऐसे टाइम पे जब एक लेपर्ड शिकार कर रहा है. So he is really done with everything. तो अभी आजू बाजू कोई मिल भी नहीं रहा है. The Shabnam bag having the camera and the other was a small colorful handmade bag used in villages to carry the tiffin. अभी उनके पास दो चीजें हैं, एक तो उनके कैमरा का बैग और दूसरा उनके डब्बे का बैग. The blossoming boxwood trees, the boop boop sound of cuckoo bird, the song of robin bird all appeared alien to me. Now when you're in a jungle, right, when you're in a very nice mood, you'll enjoy everything. हर tree enjoy करोगे आप, हर bird की call sound enjoy करोगे, right? अगर एक रॉबिन गा रहा है, एक कोई और बर्ड गा रहा है तो आप उसे एंजॉय करोगे, बट एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम जब ये जंगल में है ही इज नॉट एबल टू एंजॉय एनी ऑफ दिस बिकॉज ऑफ द सिचुएशन ही इज इन. It was more than an hour and I was still there searching for a suitable tree to climb and get secured. Turn back to the trail you left, my mind was telling me, but there were no signs of the trail. तो भी इनके दिमाग में आ रहा है कि मैं जहां से आया था वहीं वापस चला जाऊं, बट उन्हें वो ट्रेल दिख ही नहीं रही है. वो देख ही नहीं सकते कि सामने वो कौन से रास्ते से आए थे, कौन से रास्ते से उन्हें जाना चाहिए. I had no other way to climb the hillock before me. There were more hillocks and some more around the one I was standing. तो वहां पे कई सारे हिलक्स दिख रहे थे उन्हें, बट उन्हें ये नहीं पता था कि वो कौन से वाले से आए हैं और उन्हें कहाँ पे जाना है. Near my feet were the dried up droppings of sloth bear. The sloth bear of Ambazara must be out in the open sniffing for food. तो basically sloth bear is also predator animal और उन्हें ना वहाँ पे ड्रॉपिंग्स दिखी थी उस एनिमल की. दैट मीन्स वो आजू बाजू ही है. अब वो स्लॉथ बेयर भी हंट करने आ रहा है. ही इज टोटली अनसेफ वेयर ही इज, बट ही स्टिल डजंट नो वेयर टू गो. आई कॉशन माई सेल्फ, thinking of averting all sorts of eventuality. I made a move. I ran down the hillock that I climbed up at a frantic speed. The west was to my right side now. The evening breeze flew through my wet curled hair. My stomach was aching. I kept walking in hope. वो क्या करते हैं, अभी उनके पास कोई और रास्ता नहीं है. उन्हें जो उनके पीछे हिलक दिखा वो उस पर से भागने लगे. आफ्टर अराउंड 50 steps I found a bright red soil trail. I found my silver lining on this trail. There were marks of bicycle wheel on the trail. There was a big consolation for me. There must be a village nearby, I assured myself. More questions resurfaced. How far is the village and where, in which direction? तो अभी वो क्या करते हैं, जब वो भागता है उन्हें गीली मिट्टी मिलती है जहाँ पे उन्हें बाइसिकल ट्रैक्स, मतलब जब आप साइकिल चलाओगे गीली मिट्टी पे तब आप देखोगे कि कुछ मार्किंग्स आती है, राइट. साइकिल का जो टायर का जो पैटर्न होता है वो प्रिंट हो रहा है, तो उन्हें वो प्रिंट दिखती है. बट देन अगेन एक प्रॉब्लम है, वो साइकिल किस तरफ जा रही थी, वो साइकिल जिस गांव जा रही थी वो गांव कितनी दूर है और कौन से कौन से डायरेक्शन में है. I climbed one more hillock and tried to locate signs of human civilization. तो वो एक और रेस प्लेटफॉर्म पे गए और ढूंढने की कोशिश करे कि किस साइड उन्हें गांव दिख रहा है. My legs were trembling as I reached the top of the hill. I jumped with joy. I heard the sounds of people talking in loudspeaker. तो finally वो क्या करते हैं कि वो जैसे ही उसके ऊपर जाते हैं वो खुश हो जाता है. क्यों? क्योंकि उन्हें लाउड स्पीकर पर से आवाजें सुनाई देने लगती है. In a jiffy, I ran down the hill towards the sound with full vigor. Full vigor मतलब full जोश के साथ, with all his energy वो उस हिल की तरफ भागते हैं. I stumbled and fell down, saw droppings of blue bulls nearby. तो अभी वो इतने जोश से भाग रहे कि वो जगह पे गिर भी जाते हैं और उन्हें ब्लू बुल्स की ड्रॉपिंग्स दिखती है, which is basically like a cattle that humans raise. Stood up and decided which direction to move on. The signs of civilization were visible. अब इनके पैर ऐसे कांप रहे थे भाग भाग के, so he is definitely not in a very comfortable position, right? But still उन्हें finally एक गांव दिखने की वजह से वो इतना खुश हो गए कि वो उस तरफ भागने लगते हैं. The tiny sleepy village of Pitazari was visible through the green woods. तो उन्हें अपना गांव मिल चुका है. The lantern of Rajiram Bhalavi's farm, the loudspeaker installed for Keshav Bhalavi's marriage, all were in clear sight. Turned left to spot the village lake and familiar hillock, Suhidaki. The dog barked to welcome me to the village. So basically क्या होता है कि वो वहां पे जाते हैं, उन्हें ना एक फेमिलियर इंसान का खेत दिख रहा है और किसी और इंसान की शादी के लिए जो टेंट्स और लाउड स्पीकर्स लगाए थे वो दिखाई और सुनाई दे रहे हैं. तो अभी फाइनली अपने गांव पहुंच चुके हैं. The first thing I did was to take a bath. The shaking of limbs had lessened a bit. The stomachache started up again. Ate to the full and then slumped onto the cot. Lying awake, looking at the star-studded sky, I spoke to myself. There still exists a jungle we can get lost. Isn't it our good luck? तो बेसिकली क्या होता है कि जब वो वापस घर जाते हैं वो नहाते हैं टू रिलैक्स डाउन एंड नाउ हिज शेकिंग ऑफ द लिम्स, मतलब वो जो कांप रहे थे वो अभी कम हो गया है थोड़ा सा. और अब वो सोच रहे हैं कि आंट वी लकी कि अभी ऐसा कोई विलेज है जहाँ पे हम गुम हो सकते हैं. वाई सो? बिकॉज आजकल क्या हो रहा है, ड्यू टू ग्लोबल वार्मिंग, डिफॉरेस्टेशन, काफी ज्यादा जंगल बचे नहीं है विच आर अनएक्सप्लोर्ड. ओके, तो सारे जंगल हम जानते हैं एंड ऑलमोस्ट सारे काट पीट करके कोई ना कोई यहाँ पे घर बना देता है, मॉल्स बना देता है. बट अगर ऐसा कोई जंगल है जहाँ पे हम आज भी गुम हो सकते हैं, इसका मतलब देयर इज सम नेचुरल रिजर्व, देयर इज सम फॉरेस्ट रिजर्व, राइट, विच इज अ वेरी गुड थिंग. यहाँ पे हमारा ये फर्स्ट एक्सर्ट खत्म होता है, फर्स्ट पार्ट खत्म होता है एंड इट इज टेकन फ्रॉम द बुक सखा नागजीरा बाय किरण पुरंदरे. लेट अस मूव. Hey guys, so now we are going to be starting with part 2, which is Tracking the Panther of Nagarhole. This is by Shaaz Jung. Okay, so now this part is where Shaaz Jung tells how he has gone from being somebody in a totally different stream of profession, he's gotten into photography, and especially photography of felines or animals. Okay, so Shaaz Jung is a wildlife photographer, cinematographer, big cat tracker, man animal conflict resolution seeker, and lodge owner, all rolled into one. So he's doing all of these different things. When he's away from the jungles of Nagarhole, officially called the Rajiv Gandhi National Park, he's leading photography safaris in Africa or showing his work in art galleries in capital cities and speaking to those interested in conserving the planet's riches. So basically, he's doing everything for the nature, the big cats, and all the animals that he can help. Shaaz Jung recalls with great clarity the incident that ultimately leads to his answering the call of felines over a career dedicated to finance. So now he was a part of a finance profession, right? But now he is telling you about the story of the time that he shifted from this finance profession to a photography or big cat profession. It was somewhere around sunset. We were at a junction. The deer was calling. The deer were calling, he says. We went around a blind turn, he continues, and up ahead on the path was this old leopard. So basically, they are going around, okay? They were at a junction. The deers were calling, meaning there were deers around, and then they take a blind turn, meaning not knowing what's ahead, and it's like completely you can't even see where the turn is going. So he goes there, and up on the road he sees an old leopard. You could tell that he was past his prime. The jungle had taken a toll on him. He had only 3 canines. His eyes were sagging. Close to this leopard was another very young, good-looking male who was soon to come into his prime. So basically, there are 2 leopards now. One old leopard and another young leopard. Okay, the old leopard is like he's seen his prime, his peak, good looks W time is all over, and now he's an old one. He is weak. Okay, then there is another one who is going to enter his prime. Okay, the one who is going to now get a very nice, uh, you can say there's going to be a good arc in this new leopard's life. So there is 2 stages of the leopard life. One is the resigned old one, and the other one is going to enter the new, nice, powerful era. Okay. It was clear that there was going to be a fight. Why so? Now you will know from if you have read Jungle Book, right? You will know this, that to replace one leader, another animal of the pack must attack or fight with the leader or make some victory of himself over the leader to be appointed the next one. So what is going to happen is this young one is going to fight this older leopard and become the new leader. Unfortunately, the sun was setting and we had to leave, but the next morning I went back to the spot. Sitting on a high rock was the young leopard. Blood was dripping from a gash across his face. So what happens is he wanted to witness the fight. He wanted to see what happens, but he is not able to because he has to go home. It's too late. It's not very safe to stay there while 2 leopards are fighting and it's dark. So he comes back over there the next day to find the younger one sitting atop a rock, meaning above a rock, hence showing his power and authority, and he is just having a gash on his face. What does a gash mean, right? It's basically just a scratch. So when you and your sibling or somebody younger to you are fighting, what will this younger one do? They will scratch your face or arms. There'll be one particular scratch through which it will be red, right? There is blood showing up. So that gash is there on this leopard's face. What does he see? He sees that blood is dripping from it. He sat there like he was the king of the jungle and knew right then that he had taken over and it was the beginning of a new journey for him and for me. So now it's a new journey for this leopard because he is now the leader of their pack. But why for him? Why for Shaaz Jung? That is because it is at this moment Shaaz Jung decides he is going to be a feline tracker or a feline photographer. Photographs of that leopard, the victor, Scarface as Shaaz Jung named him, not only made Shaaz famous among India's wildlife community, but also led to Shaaz's inevitable reputation as the chronicler of the wild. So this Scarface is quite famous, okay? Scarface recently died, and we have the videos of Scarface is dead. The last video of Scarface resigning, okay? It's all over the internet and you will find the videos really easily. It's really fun to watch because we have the you can say entries of Scar's start of rule, okay, when he defeats this older leopard, to now when he is resigned and is no more the leader. Okay, now he is in the place where this older leopard was. What does a chronicler mean? Chronicler, basically he has the entry, or he follows the life of one particular animal. Okay, though my journey of photographing Scarface, through my journey of photographing Scarface, I've discovered other leopards, his mates, and discovered his nemesis, tigers. So now, through this journey of having Scarface around, having following this person around, he has seen his mates or his partners, and also his nemesis. What is nemesis? Comes from this Roman god term, okay, and nemesis is the Roman or Greek god of what you call enmity, okay. And who are the enemies of leopards? Tigers. I also discovered the current protagonist of my work, Saya, while tracking Scarface. What is this? A new character or new animal that Shaaz will be following, and he found this new one called Saya while tracking Scarface. This is the world's first black panther, the behavior of which is being documented so intimately on camera by tracking its movement. So अभी क्या हो रहा है कि this new animal is of great interest. Why? Because ये अपने species की पहली animal है जो हमें मिली है, right? हम इसकी हर चीज को ट्रैक कर ऐसे हर चीज में ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हैं देखने के लिए कि हाउ डज दिस स्पीशीज और दिस टाइप ऑफ एनिमल live, what does this do, what is its behavioral pattern. If you remember, a few years ago there was this discovery of a new type of worm which was found in the northern areas like Haryana, Punjab. So it was very closely related to snakes, but it was a worm which was definitely not venomous. It did not, help the soil nutrient levels like an earthworm, but it was a worm nonetheless. You found its eggs, and we were so interested in it. It became a huge deal for those who are following, zoology or all these animal related things back then. There was so much research, right? There were a few being bred in natural conditions, a few in the labs, they were tweaking some conditions. It was a big deal. So similarly over here, when they found a black panther, they're doing everything they can to observe this black panther. And how are they doing this? By tracking its movements, and it was being done through camera traps. What are camera traps? Now when you know the area wherein a certain animal lives or goes around, right, what you do, you will set up certain cameras at critical points to make sure you are having a complete view of this animal all the time. Through many months of toil, Shaz managed to collect precious footage, including that of the animal mating, to piece together the incredible landscape of a black panther's life. So now you have every stage. The stage when this is a child, the stage when it's mating, the stage when it's old, the stage when it has kids, how it's looking after them, how it's training the kids, how it trains itself, right? You have everything. Saya, Scarface, and Pardus, the leopard that lost to Scarface, have also led Shaz down a different path of discovery. So there are three animals that Shaz has mainly documented in his life. There's Saya, Scarface, and Pardus. Learning about them and the loss to their habitat has led Shaz to create the Buffer Conflict Resolution Trust of India, BCRTI. What is this about? So it's an agency basically. What they do there is, now if you have people living around jungles, right, on the outskirts, those people will not know the importance of that jungle environment or saving that jungle as much as we city dwellers. Why? Because we city dwellers, we can't really find that jungle, we can't really see those animals around us. The same thing that is perceived by the jungle dwellers as problems or irritation or some troubles or tantrums are actually very high importance to us. That natural reserve is something we lack, and we really admire it. We would pay money to go and look at that. But if there is an animal making a ruckus, right, if there is an animal stealing cattle from the villagers, they will just immediately go there, kill the animal, and solve their issue. But guess what? It's a problem in the long run. That animal is going extinct, right? Like tigers. So what BCRTI does is it educates the people living near jungles to not kill the animals, how they can protect themselves, how they can protect the animals, why it's important to preserve them, and what profit they have for preserving this animal or jungle reserve. So basically what happens is, what they do is putting tourist currency to good use under the BCRTI umbrella. Shaaz provides locals with vocational training with the aim of educating locals on the merits of conservation and to help them benefit from tourist currency. The visitors at the resort are welcome to volunteer to teach a skill training class of their choice. The acquired skill enables locals to find employment with any of the numerous wildlife resorts in the region, if not in faraway cities. Basically, what they do is they ask the people in the villages there to preserve this wildlife and show the tourists these wild conserves. In return, what tourists do is they will teach these villagers or the kids of these villagers a particular skill. What is the use? These children or these people who are learning these skills can get a job in some other place where there's a higher pay or in faraway cities. In this way, there is nature that's benefiting due to not losing some animals or certain species. There is the people who are benefiting because they can study these animals or enjoy the scenery. And then there is the villagers who are benefiting because they are getting a better chance at life and earning than they had before. So this is a complete win-win situation for both of us. Made Gowda is one such local agriculturist who is trained at BCRTI and is now a certified naturalist employed by the bison. What is the bison? It's like a company, or you can say an organization where they try to conserve or try to study certain animals or plants. So this person, Made Gowda, is one of such local agriculturists who has gotten benefits from BCRTI. In the past, I've lost almost 80% of a season's yield of sugarcane to such animal attacks. I used to hate them, but now I've learned how important these animals are and the value of protecting them. So this person was initially, you can say, a farmer who used to farm sugarcane, but he lost over 80% of his yield or 80% of his produce because of animal attacks, and he was absolutely angered by this. He absolutely hated these animals. But what happens is he has now learned how these are important, and he is now protecting them. He has learned why it is important to protect them, and he has stopped hating these animals. He says, I've known these jungles for 35 years. I've known where the animals are, and I realize I can guide visitors and get paid for it. In a way, the animals are paying me back. So being born near the jungles, he knows how these animals behave. He knows where they live, where they'll be found most, where they can be studied the best. So he can use all of this knowledge he has of these animals and earn money through it, right? He can tell the visitors or people who come for research purposes about it, right? In this way, the animals are paying him back, actually more than for what he suffered a loss of. The forests have taught me many things. For instance, listening is a sense far more important than sight. You have to switch off your vehicle, sit and listen, for the forest is constantly communicating through the voices of birds and animals. So basically, if you have already understood this by now, that when you listen, it's way safer and way more informative than what you see, right? Because in the jungles, you can hear the wind, you can hear different animals, and you can make out what's happening, what's going on, as compared to what you can see, which is very limited amount of vision that you have in jungles. But when you listen, when you sit and listen, you will know if there's a predator, you will know if there is a new batch of animals migrating over here, right? It's a very important skill. Tracking an animal also teaches you life lessons. The Black Panther has taught me patience, but above all, it has taught me to never stop discovering. There are just so many amazing experiences to learn and share with the world. So, first thing, listening is far more important than just looking. And the second thing, patience, and to realize that there is so much more to be experienced and found out, right? If you don't know this already, a huge portion, a massive portion, close to 70 to 80% of your water bodies are undiscovered. You don't know what lies there. You barely know around 30%, wherein you found certain sharks, certain fishes, some tortoise, etc. But that massive 70 to 80% is a mystery. You don't know what lies there. There is these speculations of some historical, mystical species or animals over there, and it's very important to find those out. Why? Because if something is going extinct, you need to conserve it, you need to preserve it. It's very important for the ecosystem, right? So Through Shaaz Jung's story, you realize how important it is to conserve, how important it is to hear and not just see, how important it is to be patient, right? And with his story, we are done with this chapter. So what did we study? We studied Kiran Purandare's experience of having a leopard around hunting, losing his way and finally getting back to Pitazari village. Then you have the story of Shaz Jung and how he turned to photography of feline animals from his freelance job. That's it for the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment down below. And when you're solving the PYQs of this chapter, I've just explained the chapter. We have not done any PYQs. So when you are doing the PYQs, if you have any answers that you're not able to form or have a tough time, comment down in the comment section. I'll be definitely answering you with the points you need to include and how the answer is to be written. Also, don't forget to check out the other videos we are going to complete the poems very soon. There's a few novels coming up, so stay connected. And yeah, that's it for the video.